I want to show you how to submit your dealer license application via eLICENSING. Your application for your dealer's license must be submitted electronically through the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles eLICENSING system. The Texas Department of Motor Vehicles no longer accepts mailed-in applications. The online submission must be completed correctly and in full. The application must be signed by the business owner or an authorized representative. The application must be signed either electronically or by hand using what is known as a certification of responsibility, which I will show you here in just a few moments. Failure to complete any portion of the application will prevent the application from being submitted. Correct dealer license applications will allow the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles to grant your license in a much quicker manner. Mistakes on the dealer application submission can lead to substantial delays of your license approval. The individual completing the application is answering truthfully and correctly all questions that apply to all partners, LLC members or managers, or any directors, officers, or owners of the business, not just the person that's completing the application. And by the way, some owners and partners may not even be listed on the license. The person whom completes and signs the application is representing all owners truthfully. You must complete all information truthfully and correctly. I want you to be aware filing false statements of material fact on a dealer license application can lead to the denial of the initial application, possible suspension of the dealer license in the future, and may even lead to possible criminal charges. Be sure all the information you enter on the dealer application is truthful and correct. A correct dealer license application will lead to much quicker dealer license approval by the Department of Motor Vehicles. You're going to need the following required documentation before you submit your application through the eLICENSING system. You're going to need your employer identification number, or EIN, for the business. I'm going to show you how to get your employer identification number later in the course, so most dealers will need this. You'll need your dealer surety bond number, the name of your bonding company, and the effective and expiration dates of your bond. Make sure that bond is signed not only by you, but also by the bonding company representative. You'll have to provide a power of attorney that's provided by the bond company as well, in addition to the other bond information. You're going to need scanned copies of driver's licenses, passports, or any other official IDs for all owners and managers that are going to be listed on the application. You'll need to have a lease or some type of proof of property ownership, a business photo clearly displaying the exterior of the business, and a business sign is also needs to be in that photograph. You're also going to need a copy of your 6-hour dealer educational course certificate of completion that you're going to get as soon as you finish the course. In addition to the required documents, you may need some additional documents as well, such as, for corporations, limited liability corporations, limited partnerships, and limited liability partnerships would need a scanned copy of all corporate and or registration papers that have been filed with the Texas Secretary of State. And we're going to cover that process extensively later on in your course. Sole proprietors and general partnerships will need a scanned copy of their assumed name certificate for each doing business as. We call that a DBA that's filed with the specific county. If a corporation, limited liability, limited partnership, or limited liability partnership has filed an assumed name certificate, then they would also need to file a copy of this assumed name certificate as well. You'll need a social security number if you're applying for your dealer's license as a sole proprietor. But if a sole proprietor has employees, then an employer identification number is needed as well and may be used. Social security numbers may be used if the sole proprietor is the only employee of the business. You'll need a certificate of occupancy if your city or your county requires certificates of occupancy. Any previous GDN numbers that you or any partners have held in the past. You will need your converter license number if you are applying for an independent mobility motor vehicle dealer license. You'll need scanned copies of any facts pertaining to any criminal history of any officer or partner that's on the license application. Scanned copy of any court papers that verify the adjudication, dismissal, or decision made regarding the criminal history of any officer or partner on the license application. And as I said earlier, I want you to be aware, if you need to obtain copies of any court documents explaining criminal history, you should contact the county or the district clerk's office in which the county where the offense occurred. The Department of Motor Vehicles would also like you to know that acceptable forms of identification for your application would be either a current driver's license or maybe a U.S. passport or a U.S. armed Forces identity card or a state-issued identity card or a Texas concealed handgun license. Remember, all owners and managers listed on the application must provide an acceptable form of identification. And by the way, I want you to be aware, if you are leasing the building where you will have your dealer's license, you must have the lessor and lessee business names. You'll need to have the complete business address for the rental office that you are leasing from, including their suite number, if applicable. You'll need the lease term, the lessor and lessee signatures. Remember, if you do not own the property, the lease must be for a minimum of 2 years. So, if you log on to the e-licensing system without all the above information, then you will not be able to complete your dealer license application. Before we get started, I always want you to be aware that GDNs or dealer licenses are city specific. If you're relocating to a new city, then a new license, including a new dealer surety bond, is required. So I always want to make sure you're very aware of that. If you're relocating to a new city, then a new license, including a new dealer surety bond, would be required. Applying for your Independent General Distinguishing Number or your dealer license. The independent GDN e-licensing application process is very automated, and it's going to take you step by step through the whole application process. Some license types will require additional information for that specific license. You're going to need to allow some time to complete the application as it is quite extensive, and you must answer all questions accurately. You'll also use e-licensing after you receive your license to renew your license. You can also amend and make changes to your license. You can order metal plates and stickers. You can even restart your dealer application if you didn't complete it. You can print copies of your dealer license, and remember, the dealer license has to be displayed prominently at all times. You can review enforcement cases involving your dealership. You can close a license. You can change general information, such as contact information. You can view protests and complaints and also pay any money owed and completely manage your e-licensing account. You're going to be required to upload several documents of the scanned documents that we covered just a moment ago. All information that you submit must be correct and maintained throughout the licensure period. So, for example, you can't state you have the minimum amount of office furniture that's required by law and then remove the required office furniture. You must maintain all requirements during your entire licensure period. I want you to be aware, when you're using the e-licensing system, it is highly recommended that you either use Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox, because Edge, Safari, and some other browsers do not interact well with e-licensing. So be sure that you're using Google Chrome. You're probably using that anyway right now, or you can even download Mozilla Firefox, because e-licensing works much, much better with Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox. During this process, you are going to upload several documents, and you can save an application and finish later, but you are going to need to register for an account, and you're going to receive a username and password, okay? First, however, you must access the e-licensing section you can go to txdmv.gov, and on the homepage, you can just scroll down on the homepage and click on the e-licensing login in the dealer's box, like you see on screen there. And you can even go to the website where you signed up for your course, texasdealers.com, and scroll down on any page and just click on the Texas e-licensing link, and you can easily access the e-licensing system from this page as well. And then you're going to land on the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles' newly redesigned website with a link to the e-licensing system. So you're now going to click on the login to e-licensing link, and you carefully want to read the security pop-up that displays over the login page and click the I accept button. Now, you'll scroll down under the register here if, and you're going to click on the join e-licensing button, and then you'll have to click on the green join e-licensing button. Now here, you're going to enter your contact information and business information, and I want you to be aware that the business name for a sole proprietor would be your legal first and last name. So if you're a sole proprietor and your name's Sally Doe, then that will be the name that you enter here. It's not the DBA, and this is a common mistake. So if you're a sole proprietor, you'll enter your first and last name. And now your account has been created, and you are going to receive some emails. So you're actually going to receive 3 emails from the Department of Motor Vehicles. One email will contain your assigned username. One email contains your password, and then a third email has a login link. So check your email, then click on the login link right here. And then you're going to need to just use that username and password. And now you have landed on your account page. And I want to spend some time going over these different sections on your account page. First, as you can see at the top left, you can view any applications you have saved by clicking on the My Applications section. You can apply for a license, which we're going to do here in just a moment. You can also renew your license when it's time to renew, and you can amend your license in case you need to notify the Department of Motor Vehicles of any changes, such as maybe you're amending your license from a wholesale dealer to a retail dealer or something like that. Remember, you would have to meet all requirements for the new license type that you may be obtaining. You can also order dealer metal plates and stickers. You can view all your license plates and stickers. You can view any type of pending cases involving your dealership. You can click on dealer replacement to replace a license, and you can also close out your license. If for some reason you would like to close your business, you would need to close your license. You can change general license information. You can view protests and complaints. You can make a payment to the state if you owe any money, and you can manage your account. Say, for example, maybe you want to add users. So you are going to apply for a new license. And so you'll just go to the very top left there and click on Apply for New License. Next, you're going to see all the types of licenses that we discussed earlier in the course. And in just a moment, you will click on the Independent GDN license link. But you can also apply for a salvage license. Remember, with a GDN license, you can now operate as a salvage dealer as long as it's at the same location and you've gotten that sales tax ID and your National Motor Vehicle Title Information System number as well. You can apply for a lesser license when leasing vehicles, franchise license when selling brand new vehicles, a lease facilitator license when acting as that intermediary between the customer and the business that's leasing the vehicle, a distributor license, in-transit license, converter license, or a manufacturer license. So I want to show you how to apply for your independent GDN license. So you'll click on the independent GDN license box. Then you're going to select the organization that you registered in. I want to bring your attention to the very top of this screen, and you can view what part of the application process you are at any time. So you're starting with your account, and then you're going to go through several steps before you're able to actually pay for the dealer's license. So you'll always know what part of the application process you're at. So you're going to click the green Save and Next button. And I want to explain some information on this page where you see application contact, license contact, and e-tag contact. Okay, it's very important that you're aware of this. Application contact. This information is used by the Department of Motor Vehicles licensing specialist to review and resolve any issues with your initial dealer license application. The license contact. This information is used to contact the license holder once the license is approved. And then e-tag. The person listed here will be the account administrator for the separate e-tag system to issue temporary plates and buyers to customers. And I'll show you that system here in just a little bit. So you want to enter all that information correctly, and then you're going to click the Save and Next button. And now you're going to select your application reason. And I'm assuming most of you that are taking this course are going to be selecting that you are applying for a new license. However, you may be amending a license in the future. You can see your amendment choices here, such as maybe you're relocating your dealership or changing a business entity. You definitely need to let the Department of Motor Vehicles know if you ever change your business entity, or maybe your previous license was not renewed. But like I said, this first time that you're applying, you'll probably be selecting Apply for New License from the drop-down box. So you're going to click Save and Next button to continue. And on the next screen, you're going to see GDN types. Okay, for this training scenario, I'm going to check the motor vehicle box at the top. As you can see, if you scroll down, you can also apply for other types of dealer licenses. So for this scenario, we'll check the motor vehicle box, and then we're going to click the Save and Next button to continue. I do want to take just a moment and explain some ownership entities. Okay, so a sole proprietor is one individual, and no other individuals may be listed as the business owner. If the business is a general partnership, then the ownership information for each partner must be listed. And for business types that file with the Texas Secretary of State, all owners and operating members must be listed, and the information must match the information that is on file with the Texas Secretary of State's office. On this screen, you're going to enter your contact information, your phone number and email, by the way, and your physical address of the dealership that must be entered as well. Now you're going to need to click on the validate address button to validate your address. So your business address, if it cannot be validated, then you can submit an address verification letter from your post office or a 911 address verification letter from your local city or your county. If for some reason your address cannot be validated, then those forms would be acceptable if the business address cannot be verified. On the next screen, you're going to be asked if you want to order dealer plates. Okay, so for this training scenario, I'm going to select that you want 2 motor vehicle plates. If you were a motorcycle dealer, then you would order motorcycle plates instead of the full-size motor vehicle plates. Now, you're going to enter ownership information, and I want to spend a little time on this screen because it can be a little confusing. If the dealership you're opening is owned by an individual or individuals, you'll list the person or persons who own the business in the individual business section. The business ownership information only needs to be entered if one or more businesses own the dealership. So let's just say, for example, Business A and Business B are the owners of the dealership rather than individuals, then you would complete that information. If you do complete the business information, then the management information will also drop down as well. But for this training scenario, I'm going to complete this as an individual owner. So this would apply to you if you are the owner of the business, or perhaps you and another person or individual own the business. So let's do this training scenario, assuming that you are an individual that owns the dealership that you are opening. And if you have multiple partners, be sure the ownership percentage equals 100%. Okay, so you would just add your owners there. And then you're going to scroll down and answer these very, very important questions. And remember, you must answer all questions truthfully. The first question wants to know if any person has been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor. The next question wants to know if any person has received an adjudication for a felony or misdemeanor in any state, out-of-state, or federal jurisdiction. And the final question asks if the person has ever been court-martialed. And if you answer yes to any of these questions, you will need to submit additional paperwork involving those cases. And remember, as we stated earlier, those documents can normally be found at the county or the district clerk's office in the county where that offense occurred. Next, you will be asked several more questions. So you want to make sure that you answer all these questions correctly, as I stated before. And, depending on the answer that you make to that question, you may see additional questions or instructions that drop down. Remember, questions apply to all partners, LLC members or managers, or any directors, officers, or owners of the business, not just the person that's completing the application. First, you'll be asked if you're a military service member or a veteran. The Department of Motor Vehicles will waive application fees for most members of the military, so do please keep that in mind. They also want to know if you've had any previous license. So if you've had previous applications denied, you'll need to answer if you've had a license at that same address previously. Then you're asked if you have a sign visible to the public with the dealership name at least 6 inches high or larger. And as a reminder, wholesale dealers have to have a permanent sign on the front of the business as well with 6-inch signs. However, if their landlord does not allow large signs, then a 2-inch letter sign near the entrance of the office would be allowed, only for wholesalers though. Do you have your business hours posted, and do those hours meet the Texas Department of Motor Vehicle requirements? Do you own or lease the property and agree to submit documentation to prove? You're then asked if your business meets all zoning laws, and they want to know if you've obtained certificates of occupancy for that location, if that's required by your city or your county. You're then asked if the property is a residence, apartment house, hotel, motel, or rooming house. And remember, a dealer may not operate out of a residence, apartment house, hotel, motel, or rooming house. And as a reminder, if the office is located on a residential property, the office must be in a separate structure and meet all local zoning requirements. Answer if you've ever been disciplined with the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles. And then the question applicants must answer to disciplinary will apply under the Texas Department of Motor Vehicle codes, not just the occupations code. You're asked if you have an office area with a desk, at least 2 chairs, internet access, and a phone that's listed. Remember, the dealer phone number may not be shared with another dealer, and your wireless access is going to be acceptable for internet requirement. You're asked whether or not you're a manufacturer. And finally, do you have a display area with room for 5 or more vehicles? So make sure and spend a little time on this page and answer all questions truthfully. Now you're taken to the attachments page where you can start uploading your documents. And if for some reason you don't upload all the required documents, then you will not be able to complete your application. So you're going to upload your lease agreement or any type of property ownership. You're going to also have a photograph of the business that shows the permanently mounted business sign. Be sure that that photo is taken at a distance which allows the entire structure to be viewed. So you'll need to have your proof of identity, which we discussed just a little bit ago. You're also going to need to have a copy of your dealer course certificate of completion, and this will show the state that you have completed your dealer training course, so you will be legally able to apply for your dealer license. You're going to need to upload a copy of your bond. Remember, the bond's got to be signed by the dealer and the bonding company representative, and don't forget, you'll also have to upload the power of attorney from your bonding company as well. So you're going to click the blue upload button, and then when all the docs have been completed, you're going to click the click Save and Next button. Next, you are going to see an extensive summary of the dealer license application that you're getting ready to submit. So you want to make sure and spend some time on this. Make sure that all the information is correct, and then they're going to show all the answers to your questions. So you want to spend some time on this page as well. And next, you're going to enter your first and last name, your social security number, the state that issued your driver's license, your date of birth, your driver's license number, and then you're going to enter what's known as your audit number. And I want to talk about this because your audit number is near the side of your picture or maybe at the bottom of your driver's license. And as you can see on this example, the audit number is at the bottom of the driver's license. The DD stands for document discriminator, so don't include the DD in your audit number. Just enter numbers only, okay? So don't ever put the DD in there. You just want to put the audit numbers only. So make sure that you do this, but we are almost done. And before we do this, you're going to have to e-sign the electronic dealer application. And before you do this, you're probably going to have to turn off your pop-up blockers in the browser that you're using, okay? Or otherwise you will not be able to electronically sign the documents. And I'm going to show you here in just a second. So just as a quick scenario for training, I want to show you real quickly here how to turn off the pop-up blocker in your browser, okay? So just for example, if you're using Google Chrome, you're going to go to the top right there. And you're going to click on settings, okay? And then next, under privacy and security, you'll click pop-ups and redirects right there. And as you can see right now, they're blocked. So you're going to need to change that from blocked down there at the bottom to allowed. So that way you will be able to easily sign the document that pops up on your screen next, okay? So it's very easy to do, but you do have to allow pop-ups so you can complete the electronic signature box if needed. So you would have to e-sign this application, and if you have a valid driver's license, just make sure and complete that application. Now, I also want you to remember that if for some reason, if you have to upload a certification of responsibility, and this can be used if you have a driver's license from another state. So you can click on that certification of responsibility tab there. And here you see a certification of responsibility that can be used if you have a driver's license from another state. So you can just print this form, sign it, and then easily upload it right back into the e-licensing system. So don't forget to always click that blue upload button after you've selected your certification of responsibility to upload. You're then going to be directed to the state's secure payment portal, and it's going to allow you to pay your dealer license fees and metal plates if applicable. So you can always pay these fees either with a credit card or you can use an electronic check. So on the payment summary page, you're going to select whether you are applying for multiple dealer applications or for the application that you just completed, okay? So at the bottom there, you'll just click Proceed to Pay. If you are paying with a credit card, you'll land on the credit card payment page, and then you will always need to enter some type of security code there on the bottom, once again, to make sure that you're not some internet robot that's stealing passwords from the website. And if you're doing an e-check, this page would look just a little bit different. And now you're going to see that your application was submitted, and you're going to receive a system email confirming your application was successfully received once your application is submitted for processing. So you have now submitted your official application for your Texas dealer's license. So congratulations. At any time after your dealer license application was submitted, you can check the application status by logging onto your system there, and you can type in your application number, or you can call 888-368-4689. That's that number to the state, and they will certainly walk you through that, the process. Also, if you want to check your application status, you can easily just jump right back onto your eLICENSING account. And as you see here at the very top, you can just click on My Applications, and it will show your application status. And it'll actually show your application status if you have multiple license applications. So it shows all of your application statuses. So you can easily jump right back on there and check your application at any time. But I always want you to be aware that in eLICENSING, you can renew your license, you can amend the license, you can order replacement plates and stickers, you can view saved applications, you can always print your dealer license, you can view enforcement cases that involve your dealership, close or terminate your license, change general license information, maybe such as your contact information. If you change contact information, you definitely need to log on here and change your general license information. You can view protests and complaints, you can make payments, and you can give employees access to your account, such as maybe, a salesperson or a general manager. Hey, congratulations. You have just completed the first unit of your course, which is, by the way, the longest unit of the entire course. At the end of each unit, we're going to do a quick unit review to find out what we've learned in that unit. So in this unit, we learned the steps that are needed to be completed to obtain a dealer's license, which includes your criminal history evaluation, your business building and display area. Remember, most dealers will have to get a dealer surety bond. Got to have that business sign and maintain your hours. You've got to maintain records once you get your license. Most dealers will register with the Secretary of State. Otherwise, you've registered an assumed name or doing business as with your county. Any dealer that offers any type of financial assistance or helps customers with financing must get a license with the Office of Consumer Credit Commissioner. Remember, you fill out that I-9 employment eligibility form for each person on the license and each future employee. Remember, most dealers do have to obtain that employer identification number. You take your dealer training course, and then you easily submit your application through eLICENSING. I want you to be aware that you can review each unit in this training course simply by visiting the TexasDealers.com website, and then you can scroll down on any page and click on the Texas Dealer Videos link. On the TexasDealers.com website, you can easily view all the training videos that are included in your course, and at that time, you can fast forward to the content that you want to review. Posting videos on the TexasDealers.com website really makes it real easy for you to review the training at any time after you have completed your dealer training course.